morning. My name is Mike Cranmer, and I serve on the Board of Trustees here at First Unitarian. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whether you carry joy or sorrow in your heart, you are welcome here. All people of goodwill are warmly invited to join us on the great journey of the mind, the heart, and the spirit. If this is your first time with us today, please let the offering basket pass you by. Your presence here is gift enough. We hope you will join us for coffee and conversation in the community room after the service. We would love to get to know you and answer any questions you might have. You can also visit the information table next to the exit from the community room. If you are looking for ways to engage with our community and support the work of our congregation, please visit the opportunities table at the back of the community room after the service. There are a variety of activities that would welcome more helping hands. We would love to match you with an opportunity that interests you. At this time, please remember to silence your cell phone and other electronic devices. Welcome to worship. And at this time, please take a moment to greet the people sitting around you.
No, today. Actually, too big to pick up. Whoever you are and wherever you are so very welcome here. Particularly if this is your first or second time joining us, we're glad you're here. Please join me in singing our song of welcome. We are many, we are one. The light of the world is within you. Sacred and worthy is your soul. A place has been made for you. Welcome.
Good morning, First Unitarian. Oh, I like the sound of that. I can feel you. I want to call us to worship today with a shortened adaptation of an article that was written by Mark Sandlin that was called 10 Things You Can't Do While Following Jesus. And for brevity, I've cut it down to 7. 1, you can't exclude people because they practice another religion. There's not a single recorded incident of Jesus asking for a person's religious affiliation before being willing to break bread with them or meet with them or talk with them. 2, you can't exclude people for what they look like, how they were born, or things beyond their control. Throughout the Gospels, it was the people who were different, the people who were marginalized, the people who were made to feel unwanted in one way or another that clearly held a special place in the heart of Jesus from Nazareth. If you read the Gospels, you really can't miss that part. 3, you cannot withhold health care. When people were sick and needed care, Jesus just gave it to them. If you're following Jesus, you have to kind of imitate that, at least try to. Number 4, you cannot make money or power more important than God or the children of God. Actually, you can do this, and many other things as well. You just can't do it while claiming to follow Jesus. We know this because he told us without any ambivalence whatsoever. Number 5, you can't judge other people. All that stuff about the mote in your brother's eye and let he who is without sin cast the first stone, right? We have to assume he meant that. Number 6, you can't use the church to hurt people. The teachings that Jesus shared with his disciples and the crowds that followed him were about spiritual sustenance and keeping your dignity and radical acceptance and community in the face of military oppression. The Church of Jesus was about healing and about liberation. And number 7, you can't hate. Now, the only possible exception to that is you can hate itself, but even then, Jesus is pretty clear, hate leads to more hate. Best to avoid it altogether. Welcome to worship this morning.
There is a little typo in the order of service. We're going to do the prelude, and then we'll do the time for all ages. Changing their mind from a paint on a sign. Is there anyone who really recalls ever breaking rank at all with something someone yelled real loud one time? Oh, everyone believes how they think it ought to be. Oh, everyone believes going easily. Belief is a beautiful armor, but makes for the heaviest sword. Like punching underwater, you never can hit who you're trying for. Some need exhibition, some have to know they tried. It's a chemical weapon for the war that's raging on inside. Oh, everyone believes, from emptiness to everything. Oh, everyone believes, and no one's going quietly. We're never gonna win the world, we're never gonna stop the war. We're never gonna beat this if belief is what we're fighting for. We're never gonna win the world. We're never gonna stop the war. We're never gonna beat this if belief is what we're fighting for. Is there anyone who can remember ever surrender with their life on the line? We're never gonna win the world, we're never gonna stop the war. We're never gonna beat this if belief is what we're fighting for. We're never gonna win the world. We're never gonna stop the war. We're never gonna beat this if belief is what we're fighting for. What puts 1,000 and children in the sand. Believe can, believe can. What puts a folded flag inside a mother's hand? Believe can, believe can.
Eben Moon on the drum.
Eben Moon.
Okay, the young and young at heart, come join me up front. Where are my favorite people? Oh, I see a few coming. Here they come. Here comes one. Oh, just in time, Liliana. All right, there's Eliza and Xander. Oh, here come my friends. Yes, I knew you were here somewhere. Okay, friends, can anyone read what's on my sweater? It's not in English.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. You might know that song. Does anybody know that song?
Yeah, I
Feliz
know the
Navidad. It's how you say Merry Christmas in what language? What is that? What language is that?
Feliz Navidad.
Spanish. That's in Spanish. So I love Christmas sweaters. I love this time of year. I had a great story for you, but then I kind of changed my mind. So I'm just going to read you one page. It's called Secret Santas and the 12 Days of Christmas Giving. And I'm going to read you, I'm going to read you one page. It says, "It isn't about all the gifts you receive. It's what you can give. That's why people believe. The joy and the hope you'll spread this season, that's what Christmas is for, the real, true reason." We're doing something nice for others. Do you remember what we're doing? What have we been working on?
I don't know.
You don't remember? Do you remember?
Making a call.
We're making cards. We've been taking old holiday cards and putting them together and making new cards. Do you remember who we're going to give these to? You remember? We're giving them to our gold and silver members in the congregation. So that's going to warm someone's heart. So much of this time of year is giving to others and being kind to others. And we have some really creative friends here who made some fun cards. So the reason I changed my mind is, do you know Mr. Randall, who helps us in the kitchen? He found a book for me. And inside the book, you know what I found? Christmas jokes. I love jokes. You might not know that about me, but I'm going to tell a few jokes. And Liliana, you read some of them, so no cheating if you know the answer, okay? All right, I'm going to read a few Christmas jokes. You ready? If you think you know it, just call it out. This might go for you too. All right, here we go. Who has a jolly laugh, brings you presents, and scratches up your furniture? Do you know it? Let's see if somebody else. Santa Claus. Get it? Santa Claus. All right, here's another one. Santa Claus. Okay, here we go. What did one snowman say to the other snowman? Let others try. What do you think the snowman said to the other snowman?
I think it said, "Isn't it cold, dude?"
Is it cold, dude? Maybe.
Do you smell like a carrot?
Do you smell carrots? You cheated. You saw my joke. All right, last one. Well, I have two, really quick. All right, which of Santa's reindeers has bad manners? Rudolph. Good job, Rudolph. That's a good one. All right, last one, I promise. What did the hat say to the scarf? Is it cold outside? Any other guesses? All right, what did the hat say to the scarf? You hang around while I go ahead. That's a knee slapper. All right, are you ready to go rehearse for our musical and make some more cards for our gold and silver members? Let's do it.
And we're gonna do that beaver and squirrel.
Yes, we're rehearsing the musical. Vámonos.
Would you please rise in body and or spirit and join me in doing some singing this morning? If you want to follow along with the music, you're welcome to do so in the gray hymnal. It's number 391, Voice Still and Small. The words will also be on the screens behind me, but before we sing it once on the words, I'd like to have us all just hum through the melody together. It's a really lovely melody and one that we can just spend a moment enjoying before we add text. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still we remain singing, calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years singing.
I'm Eddie Carroll, and I was asked to do the offertory words today. I was thinking about just how important this place is to me, personally, and how much it's been a part of my life for 23 years, and how necessary this congregation is for Denver, that we really have saved lives over the years. And I reflected on that, and I thought, Mike's talking about kidding yourself. And I was thinking, it does not happen by itself, what we do here. It happens with the volunteering and the energy and the commitment and the spirit of the people who are members here. And it happens with the financial contributions that are brought in, especially during the collection plate. So with that spirit in mind and with that understanding of it doesn't just happen, let's not kid ourselves, and let's be generous as the collection plates come around. Thank you.
It ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. Little David was small, but oh my, little David was small, but oh my. He fought big Goliath, who lay down and dieth. Little David was small, but oh my. Wadu, zimbamboodaloo, hoodalawada, scatty-wah. Little David was small, but oh my. Little David was small, but oh my. He fought big Goliath, who lay down and dieth. Little David was small, but oh my. Wadu. We forgot about Moses. Moses was found in a stream. Little Moses was found in a stream. He floated on water till old Pharaoh's daughter, she fished him, she said, from that stream. Wadu, zimbamboodaloo, hoodalawada, scatty-wah. Yeah. It ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. They tell all you chillin' the devil's a villain, but ain't necessarily so. To get into heaven, don't snap for a 7. Live clean, don't have no fault. Oh, I takes that gospel whenever it's possible, but with a grain of salt. Methuselah lived 900 years. Methuselah lived 900 years. But who calls that living when no gal will give in to no man? What's 900 years? I'm preaching this sermon to show it ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't Nessa, ain't necessarily so.
Thank you, Tom. Your gifts freely given this morning are gratefully received. Thank you. Thank you for your contributions, your generosity, your support of this congregation and its larger ministry. I want to take just a moment and I want to hold up one of our many volunteers who helps this congregation happen. Many of you know that Rich Stephen, our building superintendent, passed away very unexpectedly about a month ago. What you might not know is that Randall Loeb, who volunteers in our kitchen, has been donating hours and hours since then to vacuum and set up chairs and sweep and keep the place clean. So thank you, Randall, and when you see him, give him a big hand. I can't seem to stop reading the news. And because I read the news in especially because I read international news. I just have to hold up, just in the past 5 days or so, somewhere between 50 and 70 children were murdered in Gaza, just in the last 5 days or so. So I have been saying it, I'm going to keep saying it, cease fire. Stop the bombs, stop the bullets. It is unconscionable. There is no justification for continuing this path of bombs and murder and violent death and displacement of human beings and families and communities. Cease fire. And again, a call on our own government to stop sending weapons that we know are being used to slaughter innocent people. We know this. All right, I got that off my chest. Our prayer today is modeled on the Beatitudes of Jesus. It was actually written, it was adapted from that by Brian McLaren. Blessed are the curious, for their curiosity honors reality and truth. Blessed are the uncertain and those with second thoughts, for their minds are still open. Blessed are those who wonder, for they shall find what is wonderful. Blessed are those who question their answers, for their horizons will expand forever. Blessed are those who often feel foolish, for they are wiser than those who consider themselves wise. Blessed are those who are scolded, suspected, or labeled as heretics, for the great prophets and mystics were treated the same in their day. Blessed are those who know their unknowing. They shall have the last laugh. Blessed are the perplexed, for they live on the frontier of contemplation. Blessed are they who become cynical about their cynicism and suspicious of their suspicion, for they will enter a second innocence. And blessed are the doubters, for they shall see through false idols and false gods. And blessed are the lovers, they shall see the divine everywhere.
When you rush around in hopeless circles, searching everywhere for something true, you're at the age of not believing, when all the make-believe is through. When you set aside your childish heroes and your dreams are lost upon a shelf, you're at the age of not believing, and worst of all, you doubt yourself. You're a castaway when no one hears you, on a barren isle in a lonely sea. Where did all the happy endings go? Where can all the good times be? You must face the age of not believing, doubting everything you ever knew, until at last you start believing there's something wonderful in you. You're a castaway when no one hears you, on a barren isle in a lonely sea. Where can all the happy endings go? Where could all the good times be? When you face the age of not believing, doubting everything you ever knew, until at last you start believing there's something wonderful in you.
We have some awesome musicians here, or what? If you'd care to, feel free to stand up and stretch for a second. Not that the sermon's going to be terribly long or anything, but I just believe in honoring our bodies. So in the 1700s, the philosopher Voltaire wrote, "The human brain is a complex organ with the wonderful power of enabling man to find reasons for continuing to believe whatever it is he wants to believe." Robin Morantz Hennig wrote, "The Inuit have roughly 25 words for snow. The English language has 112 words for deception, according to one count, each with a different shade of meaning: collusion, fakery, malingering, self-deception, confabulation, prevarication, lying, exaggeration, denial, and so on, to name just a few." John Kenneth Galbraith, the famous economist, once said, "The conventional view protects us from the painful job of thinking." And Thomas Merton once said, "We're not very good at recognizing illusions, least of all the ones we cherish about ourselves." And perhaps my personal favorite, Winston Churchill once said, "Men occasionally stumble over the truth, but most of them pick themselves off and hurry off as if nothing ever happened." All of which is to say, as Hannah More once wrote, The ingenuity of self-deception is inexhaustible. And none of the people I just quoted said it directly, but I will. When we lie to others, we generally know that we're doing so. When we lie to ourselves, not necessarily so. Either way, nobody that I know, nobody enjoys being wrong, or having our illusions shattered, or learning that something we have believed to be true is not true. I've been moved to explore this with you today because many of us are still reeling from the election just over a month ago, when some of our illusions about this country were empirically, statistically proven wrong, about the kind of country we live in, about the kind of people we are, about the degree of prejudice and bigotry that still underlies a great deal of American society and culture, about how gullible and short-sighted an entire population can be if you give them half a chance. Now, we all entertain ideas and even hold worldviews that have no basis in facts. Modern psychology has thoroughly confirmed what Voltaire said 400 years ago: the human brain is a complex organ with a wonderful power of enabling us to find reasons to continue believing whatever it is we want to believe. It takes diligence and courage to root out self-deception, intellectual and, in many cases, emotional courage. Some of our illusions are just lifelong habits. They're just familiar and comforting. And being able to look at and accept evidence, even when it contradicts previous beliefs or values, is actually a really good definition of intellectual courage. Well, it turns out that intellectual courage is kind of like the 90% of drivers who believe they are better than average. You, of course, are all extremely intellectually courageous, right? Anyone here not intellectually courageous? Not even 10%? Come on. Remarkable. A few qualities of intellectual courage are a willingness to discard conventional views, think outside the box, willingness to consider and even include someone else's point of view, being willing to argue against your own point of view, honest curiosity and honest skepticism. And that means like being willing to apply curiosity to things you don't agree with and skepticism to things you do. Intellectual courage means being relentlessly committed to the truth, even when the truth confuses you or removes your blanket of certainty, even when you don't like it, even when it hurts. One of the most accessible ways of assessing intellectual courage is understanding confirmation bias, which is something we all do. It has 3 easy steps. First, you cherry pick the evidence that backs up your beliefs. Second, you toss out, deny, or ignore the evidence that doesn't fit what you already believe. And third, you interpret or spin any ambiguous evidence in a way that supports what you already believe. We all do this. Trivial example, compare the so-called news coverage on MSNBC and Fox News. I'll just say Fox, because that's not really news. MSNBC and Fox. The story could be anything. It doesn't matter. Foreign policy, the economy, a scandal, war, something somebody said. Both outlets filter information in very specific ways to appeal to very specific audiences with very specific social and political agendas. Both of them play into and exacerbate the echo chambers that aren't good for anybody. Confirmation bias informs racism and ableism and misogyny and genderism and homophobia and dozens of other ways that culture teaches social expectations and the way we organize ourselves to include, exclude, reward, or punish people for who they are, who they love, how they look, how much money they have or don't have, and on and on and on. What we believe, consciously or even unconsciously, largely determines what we see when we look out into the world, which largely determines what we think our options are at any given moment, which largely determines what we do. I've used this example before, but it's a good one. If you are someone who believes that the world is a cold, hard, unforgiving place, you will certainly experience it this way, and you will see evidence to support your conclusion everywhere you look. Everywhere. It's likely you won't even be aware of opportunities for joy or beauty or goodness or peace, even when they happen right in front of you, because that's not what you're looking for. On the other hand, if you believe that the world is a place, a mysterious, miraculous place of possibility and wonder, you will see evidence for that everywhere you look. Everywhere. I just about guarantee you, you will also experience greater success, more happiness, and more satisfaction with your life. Same world, totally different experiences. If you are someone who believes that you are a being who deserves love and intimacy, you will most likely gravitate towards emotionally healthy people who can who can enter and sustain that kind of relationship. If you are someone who deep down does not really believe you are worthy of love and intimacy, you will most likely gravitate toward relationships with people who are wounded or closed or inconsistent or preoccupied or otherwise self-absorbed, people who will in all likelihood live out your beliefs and your fears. My guess is we have all known people who are not nearly as lovable as they like to think they are. Just as we have all known people and witnessed the tragedy of seeing loving, precious, wonderful souls who, for whatever reason, continually make painful, self-destructive choices. Amen? Confirmation bias is no joke. So, in a spirit of full disclosure, I began writing this sermon intending to dive into the psychological and spiritual aspects of how we fool ourselves. But the more I wrote and the more I thought, and in light of the incoming administration and the Christian nationalism that it appears perfectly willing to accommodate, I feel like I need to speak to that. At least in the hopes that all of us can be clearer in what we see and how we respond to it. So, confirming my own bias, one of the great theologians of the 20th century was Reinhold Niebuhr, who was highly critical of the overlay of the Christian faith and the great American myth. Now, this is the myth we all know because we all grew up with it. Remember? The rugged pioneers who survived the cold winters and the harsh conditions to settle a wild continent. The brave visionary statesmen who fought the Revolutionary War for American freedom. The titans of industry who laid the foundations on the railroads and built the factories and the steel mills. The home of honest Abe Lincoln, the richest, most advanced, most powerful nation on earth. The land of the free and the home of the brave. Remember that myth? Niebuhr was relentless in putting white America's Christianity in a more realistic historical context. He wrote with brutal clarity of the white Christians, reared in the Calvinist doctrine of sinful humanity, who slaughtered Native Americans without mercy and without number, who enslaved and tortured millions of Africans and later imported Asians for cheap labor and then let them die in factories and fisheries and railroad labor camps. He warned Christianity repeatedly not to get too caught up in what he called the delusion of American innocence. The delusion of American innocence. He wrote, I love this quote, "Nations, as individuals who are completely innocent in their own esteem, are insufferable in their human contacts." He didn't suffer many delusions about human nature either. He wrote plainly about the human capacity for nobility, equally matched by its capacity for cruelty and ignorance. Our care for others just as often overruled by selfishness, the ever-present will to power, and the powerful forever tempted to play God to history. There's one sentence from Niebuhr that I particularly like. In fact, I would actually support this sentence being posted over every voting booth, in every courtroom, and on every single government document. Man's capacity for justice makes democracy possible, but man's inclination to injustice makes democracy necessary. Niebuhr and many others, including some historic Unitarians and Universalists, wrote that the problem with much of religion in America is that it's too consumed with the delusion of innocence to make a realistic assessment of itself. And so it continues to be blind to how destructive it has been and continues to be, which might not be so bad if that blindness were confined to houses of worship. But when it becomes entrenched and enmeshed with the world's largest military-industrial complex, when it informs the making of our laws and the priorities of our national and international policies, the decisions being made about war and peace and poverty and healthcare and the education we provide our children, well, then we got real problems. We have real trouble. And both people and the planet are suffering and will suffer more. In short, in my humble opinion, in my own biased opinion, the arrogance of religious certainty combined with the delusion of historical innocence is a wicked combination that will ultimately poison, kill, or corrupt everything it touches. It will take courage to stand up to that. It will take courage to stand up to that. From you and from me and from this community, it will take courage to be honest about what they're doing and what it means and what it costs. economically, socially, and spiritually. One of the many reasons I remain a Unitarian Universalist is that this is the only faith tradition I know of where we regularly, purposefully, religiously believe in being critical about our own thoughts, our own truths, our own assumptions, our own behavior. In this time, here 2024, late 2024, when I see very little intellectual courage on the part of political leaders anywhere, it is ever more important that there are people and communities and institutions who are willing to ask the hard questions. Speak truth to power. Dialogue deeply about issues that matter. Follow the truth, the evidence, where it leads, instead of just where we might wish it would lead. I continue to believe that our purpose, the reason we exist as a community, and my purpose as a leader here, is to be about the task of healing and liberation. Healing and liberation. You've heard me say this before. These two values, healing and liberation, which I sometimes equate with love and justice, these are the ideal towards which we strive. The task we joyfully take up. The morals toward which we preach and sing and praise and pray and gather together. Healing the wounds from a world that denies the value of the natural world and the humanity of too many precious souls. Liberating ourselves from the demons of false divisions, self-imposed limitations of thought and of spirit, destructive assumptions of individualism. I'm not saying we're perfect or that we always get it right. We don't. I'm not saying we don't have our own blind spots and self-deceptions. We do. I'm not even saying we always have the courage to face the things we need to face, because we don't. I am saying I believe we're clear that our purpose is higher than any merely cultural assumption. And I'm saying I've never seen a better set of values from which to base my life and my behavior. And I've never known a people I'd rather be in loving and mutual accountability with. There are possibilities for us as a people of faith, possibilities for our spirits that are real and accessible, possibilities for our public witness that we have not yet imagined, possibilities for healing the world that our faith and our faithfulness can make real. I'm going to close with another quote from Reinhold Niebuhr. This is from his essay called The Irony of American History. He wrote, "Nothing that is worth doing can be achieved in our lifetime. Therefore, we must be saved by hope. Nothing which is true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we must be saved by faith. And nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love." Thank you.
Before we sing together again, I want to make sure you know about Solstice Eve. This is a fun, free community event this Friday evening, December 20th. We'll have a potluck dinner and crafts and face painting at 5:30. We'll have carol singing in this room at 6:30 with a jazz band. And then we'll have a light spiral ritual upstairs at 7:15. It's a lot of fun. I hope you can come. And if you do plan to come, please RSVP just so we know to expect you. There's a QR code on the poster out in the community room or more details in First Announce.
Would you please rise in body and our spirit and join me in singing, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple." If you want to follow along with the music, you can do so using the gray hymnal number 16. The words will be on the screens behind me. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. Please join me in singing our closing affirmation. Behind all our differences and beneath our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars, throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars.
First Unitarian, be noble, for you come from the stars. Be humble, for you are made of the earth. And be kind, for you belong to each other. Our service is ended. Go in peace.